Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of Lauren Agee, who was 21, from Hendersonville in Tennessee. She went to a festival called Wakefest, where people basically showed up with their boats and then would party on the lake, the Center Hill Lake. And this was in July 2015. Now, her mother did not really want her to go there, and she also did not appreciate the friend Hannah who was coming with her, because they had apparently had issues in the past, and sometimes they would or wouldn't have the friendship depending on whether Hannah was in a relationship or not. But anyway, Lauren really wanted to go, and when she went there with Hannah, it turns out that her boyfriend was there, Hannah's boyfriend, Aaron, I believe his name is, and Aaron's friend Christopher was also there. The four of them, according to Lauren, were going to go spend time in a cabin, at least sleep in a cabin, but when they went to their place where they were going to spend the night, it turned out that they were going to actually spend the night on top of a cliff. And they had to get there by canoe and then climb up a rope in order to get to the top of the cliff, which was fairly tall on both sides, or at least a couple of sides really went straight down to the water, which Lauren was not happy with, which she also mentioned to a friend called Cassie after there was an altercation with Aaron and Christopher with Cassie involved. Lauren mentioned to her she would be spending time there during the night in a tent, and she was not happy with that arrangement. Somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m., the four went in their canoe to their campsite to go to sleep, and nothing appeared amiss at that point. There is a picture of Lauren at the campsite with Christopher, so she probably did make it up there. But when Aaron, Christopher, and Hannah woke up the next morning, Lauren was nowhere to be found. They claim that they assumed that she had already left to go partying, and they didn't really feel concerned, so they went back down to the Wakefest and had a good time. Sometime in the afternoon, I believe a fisherman and their son were out on the lake, and they thought that they saw a piece of clothing floating in the water, but that turned out to be a girl floating face down in the water, so they contacted authorities, who came out to take a look at this body. And at that point, Aaron came over in a canoe as well and said something along the lines of, "That could be one of our friends over there," which of course the investigator found very unusual. They found during the autopsy that she had died of blunt force trauma. She had wounds to the back of her head, I believe also to her back. She also had some broken fingers. Her throat was crushed, and there were bruises all over the place, as well as her clothes being very messily put on, as almost as though she either put them on in a rush or somebody else put them on her. Her bra was hanging on by one eyelet, which would have been very uncomfortable for her to wear. And there was minimal water found in the lungs, which could mean that she either drowned very quickly or she was already deceased by the time that she hit the water. Now, I believe the police still maintain, at least as far as I could tell, they still maintain that was accidental, that she probably hit her head on the way down. She may have been stumbling around drunk that night and fallen down a cliff, hit her head, and broken her fingers and all this other stuff that was happening to her, and subsequently died as a result of hitting her head or drowning in the water shortly after. There was talk of doing a kit on her to see if she had been assaulted. Now, YouTube doesn't like those words, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what type of assault, but you know what I mean, because there was a bite mark found on her. They didn't actually do that investigation, because I believe one of the police officers, or at least somebody there, noticed that she had a tampon in, which they took to mean that there was no possible assault that way, because of the tampon would have blocked it or it would have moved or something. But of course, that's not really 100% certain that that would be the case. Or the person who assaulted her may have placed it there themselves. Who knows? So no kit was done, so we don't really know anything, whether anything happened in that regard. Now, the friends did all tell very different stories, and that's also one of the reasons why this case stands out to a lot of people, because first of all, they didn't report her missing. They just went to the Wakefest day 2 and were absolutely not concerned until they came up to the investigators and started talking to them. Aaron was overheard as saying to the other two that they should not talk to the police, that he was going to do all the talking. Now, of course, when they went and took the three of them in to the police station, they were interviewed separately, and they all told very different stories. I believe one of them said that she saw Lauren going off in a boat with a bunch of guys, I think Erin was the one who said that she never even made it to the camp that night, which the picture that we have of them at the campsite already disproves, as well as another story that they told that she had actually gone cliff jumping and hit her head during one of those jumps, that she had hit her head underwater, but she said that she was fine and just went back to drinking. So there's some confusing, conflicting stories happening. So far, nobody's actually been charged officially. There's just a lot of suspicious stuff going on. So we really are at a loss when it comes to actual factual evidence of what happened to her, other than her wounds and the fact that she was found floating face down in the lake. So that's why they asked me to do a reading on her. We're going to start off with the Hush Tarot deck, which is currently on the table, which is this one. For any further questions, moving on to the Demon Moon Tarot, which is this one. As per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the cards. As soon as we have a table full of them, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're starting off in the top left with the Queen of Wands. We have the Hierophant in reverse, and we have the Knight of Swords. So the Queen of Wands is pretty willful. I'm thinking that this might be Lauren herself when she was insisting on going to Wakefest, which I believe her mother was against, but she decided to go anyway, possibly based on the authority of somebody whom she trusted. That turned out to be either lying or not as trustworthy as she thought they were. Then we have the Knight of Swords here, which is somebody who tends to speak very quickly, charges off as well, in this case even without their steed. They're just kind of running around over here with a helmet on, so they're not even really sure where they're going. At least they can't see as much as they should. So this kind of seems to me like either maybe the Hierophant in reverse is pointing towards Lauren actually telling her mother or anybody who was worried about her going to Wakefest that it was going to be fine because such and such was going to be there, and that was a trustworthy person according to her, or somebody whom she probably thought her mother would trust, maybe. Something along those lines. Like even though she was 21, I'm getting like this vibe of almost like a teen telling their mother that it's fine because such and such's parents is going to be there, something along those lines, a little bit like that. In any case, maybe perhaps telling a few lies that were perhaps a little short-sighted because this Knight of Swords is not able to see too much, and maybe making stuff up on the go. Also noticing the Venus flytraps down here. You see these? It's almost like they are trying to avoid trapping themselves in certain, I guess, thought patterns, or perhaps saying things that might set off somebody else's suspicion by charging ahead like that, and possibly also being pretty gung-ho about it. Really trying to convince her mother that it was going to be fine, even though she's not very well prepared, and all they have is a helmet, which kind of gives them a focus. It's like wearing blinders, like they're only really focused on one thing, and that's what they're trying to convince this other person of, that everything is going to be fine because XYZ, and this person is going to be there, it's going to be fine, and it's like something that happens every year, and there's plenty of people there that can keep an eye on me. That type of stuff is what I'm getting from these three cards. So she very stubbornly wanted to convince her mother or anybody else who was convinced, or that it might not be a great idea, that it was actually fine and that it was going to be fun and everything was going to be okay. Then we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. That's like a lack of charity. And then we have the Two of Swords being of two minds. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles. All right, so this actually seems to me as the time where she was either on her way there or about to arrive. Because we have here the Six of Pentacles, which is normally like a charity card, possibly somebody offering you something or something that they didn't have to offer, but it's more like things are being asked of her, it seems, because she is now doubting about something. And we see the Queen of Pentacles on the end. I'm thinking this is her doubting because certain stuff is coming to light and things are not quite what she may have thought it was going to be, or at least it's not quite what was promised, and that has her doubting. But in the end, we have the very practical Queen of Pentacles who's like, okay, fine, we'll deal with it. It's fine. It's going to be okay. Like pushing her doubts to the back of her mind and just going, okay, I'm just going to very practically approach this. I'll do this, I'll do that to make sure everything is fine and that everything is well. I'll stay out of trouble. I'll just be extra vigilant. So something like that. Balancing our own resources as well, because of course Pentacles. Then we have the King of Wands in reverse. We have the Devil over here, and then we have the Ace of Wands. All right, so King of Wands, I think, is not her. This is somebody else whom is also fairly gung-ho, because we have the Queen over here. Interesting that we have the Queen and the King. They were both on the first position of their lines. It's almost like almost trying to match, but since the King is in reverse, it's not quite a match. Then we have the Devil here, which is usually like a sort of addiction type of thing. Maybe forcefulness as well, because we have the Ace of Wands over here on the end, and the girl on the ground is looking pretty shocked with the bird that's kind of bearing down on her, even though they do have flowers on them. Same bird can be seen here. I'm thinking that this person or somebody is making an offer that she does not appreciate, because the Devil here and the King in reverse might point towards somebody who is addicted to something, or because the Devil is sometimes also just connected to sexuality and that type of thing. So it could be that there might be some offers being made with the Ace of Wands here. So I think this is an indecent offer made by somebody to her whom was not quite on her side, or at the very least not in the right state, not really doing it for a positive reason, like not really looking for consent, possibly, maybe. But it kind of looks that way, particularly because of the Devil over here. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, so that is definitely losing some type of resource, possibly. Also being unable to balance things. Things are being taken, possibly, because the Four of Pentacles is in reverse. Then we have the Knight. No, not the Knight. I'm saying Knight because of the horse, but it's actually the Nine of Wands, which is being tired of fighting. Let me grab these three. So there's a loss of a pentacle type energy, like a resource is lost. It could be that people are coming for things that they do not have a claim to. And she's also no longer able to balance her own finances, not really finances necessarily, but this pentacle is always like a resource thing. It could be a physical thing, could be your time, energy, that type of thing, and she's probably not willing to make this sacrifice because it looks as though this is not something that she wants to give, and it is being taken because the 10 is in reverse as well by force, because we have the Nine of Wands, which is kind of like being tired of fighting. I thought it was the Knight at first because of the horse, but it is just the 9, which is normally somebody standing there with wands in the background and feeling pretty tired because they fought so much. So this is her either being worn out by something, having to fend something off for the entire time, and now just being really, really tired of it. Could be that these advances over here were being made continuously and she just kind of lost it at some point, but there's definitely a loss of resources here, which could very well be energy, could be anything physical, practical, something she was not willing to give and something that she was planning on balancing. And we have the Knight of Wands. Oh, the Knight of Wands is over here. Okay, so the 9 is over here, but we do also have the Knight of Wands in reverse. So the Knight of Wands is somebody who is also fairly gung-ho and really grabs what they want. So this does seem to me like a situation where something is forcefully taken, particularly the bottom row, starting over here with the Devil. Somebody really wanted something from her. She was not willing to give it with the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, but it was taken regardless, and she was tired of fighting. So she may even try to fight somebody off. Now whom and what exactly was being taken, anybody's guess, but like I said, the Devil does tend to have certain connotations to it, which may point towards them possibly should have done that kit that they were talking about doing. In any case, she was tired of fighting at the end of it, so let's see what happens after that, because she was pretty exhausted, but this is not the end of the story. We have the Knight of Pentacles, and we have this is the 9 of Cups in reverse. So both of these are in reverse. So the Knight is normally fairly methodical, and we see the 9 of Cups in reverse, which means that she's not feeling good at all. Maybe that somebody has been systematically, at least during that time, wearing her down, because once again we're looking at Pentacles, so this is like an energy thing. It could be physical things, but it's mostly, I think in this case, her mental energy or just also her physicality being worn down. And it's another 9 card, so this is very individual energy that we're having here. Like, it's really based on the individual. She was first of all tired physically because of the Knight of Wands. I keep saying Knight, it's the 9 of Wands. Physically tired of fighting, and then we have emotionally tired as well. There's emotionally not feeling good at all. And that would be Lauren herself. Let's see what else we can find. Oh, the whole stack fell on the ground. Hang on. Taking the ones that are face up, so that's you. And you. And these two. Alright. What do we have? We started off with... We have the 3 of Swords and the 4 of Cups. Okay, so no choices here. And there's 3 is a crowd. She doesn't want to make a certain choice, but she may not have a choice because we have the 3 of Swords here, which is usually like somebody interjecting themselves perhaps in an affair, in a relationship, something along those lines. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So we're still taking things, definitely still losing resources here on Lauren's parts. Queen of Swords, somebody whom is manipulative with words perhaps. Maybe they were trying to talk her into something and she was definitely not on board for that, but they would not give up. In particular because the Knight of Pentacles, like I said, is fairly methodical, but he's also very stubborn, so possibly this is just a continuous process. And we have 2 people here actually doing that, because we had the Knight already on this end, and we have the Queen on that end, which I'm pretty sure is not Lauren. So this is 2 people perhaps trying to talk her into things and trying to get stuff from her. She's not on board with that. She's not happy with that. And it feels like a lot of meddling. Also, the person on the 3 of Swords, as you can see, is kind of like in the spotlights and feeling very bad about that as well, because they're trying to shield themselves and they've been stabbed multiple times, so definitely not in a good place. Also feeling that she doesn't have much of a choice. She can't make much choices because the 4 of Cups. Let's see what else we can find. So it looks like she's being cornered and worn down. We have the Fool in reverse, so definitely not unaware of what's being done. They have the King of Cups, is also somebody who's very manipulative. Okay, so now we have like a 3 over here, a little triangle happening. We have the Knight of Pentacles, you have the King of Cups, and the Queen of Swords. Like they're almost cornering her in this regard. Yep, working together because you have 3 of Pentacles here. So these 3 possibly were working together to wear her down, or at least work against her. Then we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. Now she started off with the Queen of Wands over here, so I'm guessing that we have her trying to work her way out of this, but it's not very effective. It's 3 against 1 in this case. Now, which 3 people, I don't know. It looks as though 3 people were working against her. Then we have the Ace of Cups in reverse as well on the end. And that is stuff happening that she was definitely not on board with. Possibly things being offered on an emotional level that she was not happy with. Something perhaps suggested that they start something on an emotional level that she was not on board with. Okay, so they're really wearing her down. And she's not having it. So let's see what else we can find. Like, how does she end up in the water? Oh, there's 2 cards. This one first. We have, this is Magician. All right, so somebody's pretty good at convincing things, turning things into their way. We see here, what is this, a lynx or a wolf? But whoever this is has caught and beheaded this wolf. And I think they're being sacrificed because it looks like the wolf spirit is coming out of the body there at the top. And then we see the 5 of Wands, which is actually physical fighting. So this almost looks as though this may have been the plan. There's a lot of snakes on the card as well. Interesting to note that I see 3 snakes here. Even though there are 5 wands, I see 3 snakes. And they got like something going on down there. And this one's by themselves. During conflict, it looks as though there were perhaps 3 people on one side. Now, maybe all the cards of the Hush Tarot say hush somewhere, but I just noticed that this over here, the little piece of paper down there that says hush as this person is sacrificing this wolf, almost seems like the person that she's looking at, or the people that she's looking at, the 3 snakes over here, perhaps this combination was told to stay quiet because this was all part of their plan, perhaps, because the Magician is somebody who's very good at getting their way. So whomever this was, whomever these people were, at least according to what I'm seeing here, they didn't do this as a spur-of-the-moment thing, possibly. At least not part of their plan. We have the Page of Swords in reverse. Okay, so this is somebody who's fairly, I wouldn't say youthful, but more like has an energy about them of somebody who's youthful. At least not very mature, but they are talking up a storm because it's the Page of Swords, who is somebody who tends to talk very quickly, perhaps come up with lies, come up with inconsistencies, perhaps. May have been going around trying to perhaps establish an alibi or something. This seems like somebody who is in a hurry to tell people all about whatever is on their mind. So there's like somebody going around possibly spreading rumors, spreading lies. I think this is after she ended up in the water, by the way, so I don't think we're going to see Lauren back in these cards at the moment. This is more like an aftermath. You can also see that they're flying around like they're trying to talk to whomever will listen. So, which I think is whoever the perpetrator was, trying to make themselves seem innocent by trying to talk to as many people about how innocent they were and all that sort of thing. Like they've been doing this, they've been doing that, anything they could think of that didn't put them in the area. With Lauren, it seems. Now we have here, this is the 8 of Wands in reverse. So that's no communication. Also interesting to note that the birds up there, they're not looking at the person on the ground very much. At least most of them are looking away. And the 8 of Wands is normally like a communication card. Like things are moving very quickly. There's new initiatives being taken place as well. There's usually a lot of energy when it's in reverse. So I'm thinking that either they were talking or taking lots of negative actions, or they're just being quiet about certain things and just going about their business, possibly, which would kind of make sense with this page as well. Like they're trying to establish an alibi. It almost seems as though, like after this conflict ended, they already like had this plan beforehand. They were according to this hush thing down there, and there was a struggle. But after that, it was like, oh, blah blah blah. I was there. I was doing this. Oh, wasn't it fun there yesterday? And I was there too. And definitely not up there with those people. Didn't do anything over there. Like, don't look over here, that type of thing. And other than that, there's no communication attempted because the 8 of Wands is in reverse. Now let's see what else we can get. Are we ever going to see them being caught, the perpetrators? Are we going to find out who they are, what happened exactly? one card flying out. The Empress. Okay, so the first thing that I came up with, at least when I turned around and saw the Empress, I think is the mother. In this case, the Empress is usually a mother figure, but I think in this case the mother also holds a key in this case. She was already quite adamant that things were not what they seemed right at the start when they came to tell her about her daughter's unfortunate demise. I think the first thing she asked was, what about the friends, or something along those lines, like she didn't trust her friend beforehand, and she certainly didn't trust them afterwards, it seemed. But she may hold the key to cracking this case. This is the Seven of Wands in reverse. Seven of Wands is usually coming from somebody's position. It could be that people are trying to make her look bad, because usually coming from the position is like, it could be a challenge. But I think that this might be somebody challenging her. We have the Tower in reverse. I think she is well prepared for that. So I'm thinking she's definitely going to struggle, and it's not something that she didn't think was going to happen either. Like, she may be prepared for this struggle or this upheaval. She might be fighting a battle of her own at the moment. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, this is her basically having planted some seeds and watching them ripen. She may be working very hard still to try and figure things out. And then we have the Three of Pentacles, working together with other people. So she's working with some people to try and figure this out. I don't think we're going to close the case just yet, even though law enforcement was, I believe, as far as I know, still maintaining that it was not accidental. Let's put it that way. So she may be working with people in order to try and get things resolved. And her efforts are coming to fruition at some point. She definitely holds the key, quite literally, over here. So she might very well end up solving the case of her own daughter's untimely demise, which would be very interesting. Now, let's see if we can get any final cards about this. Are you going to see them being brought to justice? Let's go back to the Hush Tarot for that. Or not the Hush Tarot, the Deviant Moon. Okay, so the first card we have here is the Six of Wands, which is a victory card. So I'm thinking that she's going to be victorious, ultimately, which would be very nice. Seeing people brought to justice. It's definitely a very energetic and colorful victory card, which I'm not used to with this deck. Okay, and we have the Page of Swords. So once she figures things out, she's definitely going to go out there and tell the world, because she's not planning on keeping anything under wraps, I believe. So once she finally figures things out, she's going to end up talking up a storm, and she's going to probably inform as many people as she can. May also be going to the press and the media to try and get more attention for this case. What else can we see? The smaller stack fell out. Which ones do we need here? These two. So I think there's two here. What do we got? Final two cards. Alright, so we have the Seven of Cups and the Emperor in reverse. Alright, so maybe somebody is in the way. Seven of Cups is normally a card about wishing of things to come true. So I'm thinking this might mean like she wishes things would go faster, but somebody might be in the way right now, and which may be the people that were initially saying, no, nothing to see here, or at least it's not what you think it is, and they perhaps do not want to dig things up. Like a certain unwillingness to dig further into the case, perhaps, that she's working against, but I do feel like she is eventually going to be victorious, so hopefully that will come to pass. In any case, that's what I'm seeing for Lauren Agee. I hope you found that interesting. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. If you want to subscribe, that'd be excellent. And I hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.